Hey guys, and welcome to my Civ overview for the Swedes. In this video, I'll be going over the unique units and technologies for the Swedes, as well as the unique and team cards, and then some gameplay to give you a general overview of what you can expect while playing the civilization. So to start off with, we have the civilization bonus, which is torps gather nearby resources. So torps are the Swede equivalent of houses. So basically when you're placing your houses down, you'll get a small trickle of resources from doing so. So if you place a torp near a mine, then you'll get extra gold over time. If you place it near a tree, you'll get extra lumber over time, and similarly for food. So from what I've played, this doesn't seem to be a huge amount of resources, but definitely, a little helpful keeping their economy going. A little bit of extra trickle of resources, so definitely a useful civilization bonus. Then you have mercenary shipments are cheaper and arrive more quickly. And so this is, useful if you're using a lot of mercenary shipments. Personally, I don't use mercenary shipments really, so I don't really get any value out of this civilization bonus. But if you want a strategy centered around mercenary shipments or something like that, then that could be useful. Then we have the Royal Guard units. So we have the pikemen, the Dalkarls, and then we have the Hakkapellets or the Drabants, I think it's called. So Hakkapellets are their firearm ranged cavalry, short-range firearm cavalry, I should say. And so they're kind of just, like your average firearm musket cavalry. But I think they also have a small AOE splash damage attack from their ranged attack. So if there's a big group of enemy units, you'll get a little extra damage out of them. When I was testing that, it didn't seem like a huge difference, so I don't think it's like a game changer or anything, but overall just a solid, ranged cavalry unit that you can use to raid or supplement your army. So definitely a good unit, but I wouldn't say, anything crazy. And then we have the other unique units. So we have the Carolean. Now the Carolean, in my opinion, is probably their strongest unit, and from what I've played, honestly might be one of the strongest musket units in the game, and I'll tell you why here, because so the Caroleans, their ranged attack has a bonus versus cavalry, whereas normal musketeers, their melee attack has a bonus. So with the Caroleans, you'll be mowing down cavalry before they're even able to get a melee range to you. And then in combination with some of these other bonuses they get, it's just crazy. So another bonus they get, they resist 30% of hand or melee damage versus just the normal 20%. So if they do get in melee combat, they'll take a little less damage, so they're more survivable. They also move a little faster, slightly faster than musketeers, so they can kite a little more easily. And here's what I think is probably what really pushes them over the edge, which is that they have a rate of fire of 2 versus 3. And so when I tested this, that basically means that they can fire 2 shots for every 1 shot that a musketeer can fire. Now, obviously, they do less damage than a musketeer, but considering the rate of fire, they still put out a higher DPS than a musketeer. So I think that rate of fire combined with their cav bonus is really what makes them just tear cavalry apart. And if you've played the Swedes, I mean, you'll notice if you have like 30 or 50 Caroleans and a cavalry force comes at you, you'll just shred all of those cavalry units before they even get close to you. It's pretty crazy. So yeah, the Caroleans are an amazing unit, and I feel like they might get nerfed slightly in the future just because of how strong they really are. And so Caroleans are really an anti-cavalry unit at the end of the day because of that bonus. And then for your, anti-infantry, anti-cavalry combo, you have the next unique unit, which is the leather cannon. And the leather cannon is a light affordable artillery that can fire and reposition quickly. So it has no setup time like the other normal, artillery units. It pretty much just shoots right away, and it only costs 300 food, 100 wood. Doesn't cost any gold at all. So it's very easy to make these cannons, get a lot of them, and very easy to get a mass of them. So if you mass Caroleans in combination with these other cannons, and you have an extremely powerful anti-infantry, anti-cavalry combination between these two. And I think that's what they're really feared for. And then lastly, as we just went over, the Hakkapellets are the last unique unit for the Swedes. So again, just a decent, ranged musket cavalry unit to supplement the rest of your army if there's some threat that can't be dealt with Caroleans and leather cannons, which is pretty rare. But But yeah, those are kind of the unique units and technologies of the Swedes. So let's go ahead and hop in and look at the different cards that the Swedes get. So let's go ahead and take a look at the Swedes' unique cards. So first off is Colbertism. For the rest of the game, a small trickle of food enriches you. So this is a pretty good card. Just gives you some food over time as the Swedes. Kind of plays into the same idea of the Swedes getting resources over time. So the next one we have is Dominions, which delivers 4 Torp wagons, and your Torp becomes stronger, so they get more hit points. So this can be pretty good in Age 2 if you want to plop down a lot of Torps, get some extra resources in it, and increase the hit points of your houses. Next we have Treaty of Roskilde. It provides your church with unique Swedish improvements, which if we go back to the technology tree real quick, we can go look at that. So it looks like they only have one unique technology, Savalok's Jaegers. So it ships 6 of these Jaegers and improves the hit points. So if you combine this with things like the mercenary shipments are cheaper, you could try to spam out some Jaegers. Personally, I don't think this is all that useful because you're probably not going to be spamming a lot of Jaegers, but if you want to, then you can try that out. Next we have March of the Hackapellets. So all Hussars transform into Hackapellets and enables Hackapellets to be trained in the Commerce Age. So if you want to go for some weird kind of like Hussar rush into Hackapellet combo, then you could try this out. I personally haven't tried it out. It doesn't seem that good to me, so I don't generally take this card, but if you come up with some crazy combo where you can get out a bunch of Hussars and transform it into Hackapellets, it could be useful. Similarly, we have Dalecarlian Rebellion, transform all your pikemen into halberdiers. So if you need a little extra help in the early ages against cavalry, which you probably won't since you have Karelians, then you can take this card. Similarly, I don't generally take this card because the Karelians can take care of cav good enough without having to even worry about pikemen, I think, most of the time. Platoon Fire. Karelians inflict more damage with the ranged attacks. I always take this card. It's just a very good card to go along with, you know, pumping out a bunch of Karelians, as they'll do more ranged attack damage. This is just another one of those things that makes them very good. Light gun carriages. Leather cannons train faster and are upgraded to infantry guns. Again, I always take this card because it reduces the build time of those leather cannons, and it gives you the upgrade for free to infantry guns, so that's pretty nice. And then to go along with that, you have Case Shot, which gives all artillery a devastating close-range attack against enemies, which I combine with generally this light gun carriages card, so now you have these infantry guns that also have a really good short-range attack. So that can be useful if anyone does end up getting close to them. Then you have Snaplock, Karelian, and Hackapellet range and line of sight increased. I think this is okay. I usually take it maybe as like a later card, but I don't prioritize it. But it can be pretty good just to increase the range of your units. Trample Tactics. Hussars and Hackapellets move faster and attack move quickly whilst using the trample mode stance and have more hit points. So if you're focusing on cav, then you can take this card, have a little bit of extra health, and do more, and have a faster rate of fire. Finn Horses. The sturdy breed of Finn Horses improves the HP of Hussars and Hackapellets. Again, if you're going for a cavalry-centered strategy, then you could go with this card. Then we have Allotment System. All present and new Torps spawn 1 Karelian. This seems like it could be a good card, but I generally don't take it because Karelians aren't that expensive anyways. And if you think about it, if you have like 10 houses, this only gives you 10 Karelians, which aren't a very expensive unit. So I don't think it's that useful, especially for something in the Industrial Age. I wouldn't generally take this card. I don't think it's that useful. But if you're in an emergency situation, then you might want to take this. Kronstedt for reforms. All artillery takes up 1 less population spot. Again, this is a very good card because, you know, if you're pumping out infantry guns, then now they'll take a less population, so you can get more Karelians or more artillery out to go with your army. Then we have Sevilla Lifeguard. Karelians and Grenadier hit points increased. Always get this one so that your Karelians are a little bit more tanky. And Karelians now resist against ranged damage as well. So this will make them even better against other ranged units, which It's generally maybe a counter if you like bowmen or something that are picking him off. Then we have the Great Northern Forest. All existing torps spawn a tree and allows torps to gather wood from further away trees. I would only take this if you're really expecting to go in a game where you run out of wood. But I mean, you can just get a factory and produce wood also. And this is in the Industrial Age, so I don't think it's that useful. I wouldn't really recommend taking this card. Barrage mortars can now also target enemy units with an exceptional splash damage attack. To me, this is more of just like a fun card to play, so you can have your mortars attack, you know, villagers or other infantry and stuff like that. It can be useful, but they don't do a ton of damage to infantry units from what I've seen, so it can be good if you're getting out a lot of mortars. Go ahead and take it, and it's just a fun card to play because mortars can't normally attack infantry. But I don't think it's amazing. It's just okay, but it's definitely a fun card to play. So now let's go on to the team cards. First off, we have Team Falloon Mine. This basically just ships a mine that you can put down to all of your teammates, and it changes the gather yield for the mine to 25% for that mine. This one is okay, but I don't think you generally have problems running out of mines, so I don't think it's all that useful of a card. Next, we have Team 1 Torp Wagon. Sends a torp to everyone on your team. Again, I think this is okay. If your teammates really have a strategy centered around needing a house at a certain time, maybe this will be useful, but I think it's just okay. If you're looking at it replacing other things, it might not be worth it. Team 2 Surgeons, like all the civs have, heals injured units. Team Heavy Infantry hit points. All heavy infantry hit points are increased by 15%, so if you have some strategy centered around heavy infantry, then this could be useful for your team. Team Ranged Cavalry Combat increases the combat capabilities of all ranged cav by increasing their speed and range. So same kind of idea. If you're going with a ranged cavalry strategy for your team, then consider taking this. It'll also help your hack pellets a little bit with their speed and range, so it has a little bit of benefit for you, but I would only take it if you're really focusing as a team on ranged cavalry for some reason. Then we have the standard Team 2 Mortars and Team 1 Monitor like we've gone over before, so if you're on the offensive, want to take out some buildings, take Team 2 Mortars, and then same thing, but for a naval map, Team 1 Monitor. Team Recruit Privateers, so again, on a naval map, you might want to take this, so you can ship 2 privateers to everyone on your team. And lastly, we have Team Engineering Schools, so Team All Artillery Train Faster. I would probably recommend maybe picking this one up if you're in a team game, because it will make your infantry guns train faster, but it'll also help everyone on your team as well. So that can be a pretty useful one to take. I would definitely recommend that one. So with that, we've gone over all the unique and team cards for the Swedes. Let's go ahead and hop into some gameplay and go over the mechanics of the Swedes as a Civ and generally just how they play. So now we're on to the gameplay portion. So for me, the Swedes are kind of just a general all-around good civilization. They don't seem to have any specific focus on attacking, rushing, or defending, but they're kind of just pretty good at everything. So I haven't actually tried any, fast rushing strategies. I would imagine if you did the right build, you could maybe get out Caroleans pretty early and have it okay rush just because of how strong the Caroleans are. But I don't think it would be amazing, not as good as like a Russian or like an Ottoman rush, but probably just decent. That's kind of the story of the Swedes overall, I feel like, is kind of overall they're just decent. Although I feel like because of the few units being really strong, it makes them exceptional. So in particular, I'm talking about the Caroleans and the leather guns. And to me, what you really want to do with the Swedes is get to the mid-game at least, start spamming the Caroleans and leather guns as your main anti-infantry, anti-cavalry combo. And then, if you need to get some hack pellets to raid or to supplement your army. But that's kind of the main thing with the Swedes, is really just, Caroleans and leather guns, and you're pretty much set. Maybe throw in some mortars for killing buildings and things like that. But just that combination alone is going to be very hard for your opponents to stop. And I think, that's kind of all there is to say about this Civ. There's not much to them from what I've played of them. It's nothing that's special, you know, it's kind of just like, you have these unique units that we talked about earlier, and if you use the Caroleans in combination with the leather guns, they're very strong. If a civilization has a counter to that, like maybe the Japanese have a really good late game also and are able to counter you, but for most civs they probably won't have any combination strong enough to counter that, and you'll just roll them over. So yeah, that's kind of my impression of the Swedes, is they're just a very good civ, mainly because of how strong the Caroleans are in combination with the leather guns being pretty decent, you know, fast maneuverable artillery that are good against infantry. And yeah, I think a pretty basic civ from what I've seen. Yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video. You know, if you're interested in the Swedes, I hope you guys go and try them out. They can be pretty fun, although at the same time they feel a little unfair to play sometimes just because of how good your Caroleans are. You know, but regardless, hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to like and subscribe and stay tuned for more of these Civ overviews.